Away from 7 time now for our weekly trip across the ditch. Australia is not letting this couple off the hook. Johnny Depp's wife has now been summoned to appear in court across the Tasman after illegally bringing the couple's pet dogs into the country. God, I love Barnaby Joyce. Joining me now, Australian correspondent Jason Morrison. I love Barnaby Joyce, Jason.
Isn't he good? Isn't he good? He says everything you want a politician to say, but you can't believe a politician just said it.
That's exactly right. He'd be like we would be. He's like we would be if we were politicians.
Yeah, that's right. And he's got, I think we politely refer to it in Australia as the RSL tan, that kind of red glow about him, you know, the glow that looks like he's had a few last night. He's just got everything you want. It just looks fantastic.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, he put it right between the eyes with the Hollywood couple when they imported illegally a dog to Australia, Johnny Depp and his wife. Don't you know you're married to someone famous when you're famous yourself, but you're known as Johnny Depp's wife?
Yeah.
So Amber Heard is her name, and she brought the dogs into Australia in the very famous thing. Well, they've decided to prosecute her, not him, not the pilot, but her, because she filled out the form and said she didn't have any livestock or living animals with her.
It. I love this young.
And they're going for her.
When's she going to be in court? Has she got a date?
7th of September, she has to appear in a court on the Gold Coast, which will mean in itself it'll just be, you know, a circus anyway. But the funny thing about this is they're Commonwealth charges. They're very serious. They'll hit you for $100 and something thousand fine or up to 5 years jail. No one goes to jail for this. And the fines,
I reckon
you
these
can
guys
imagine.
Might.
Well, yeah. Imagine if Barnaby Joyce is prosecuting. I mean, he would literally throw the book at them. You know, it's a great story.
Remind me, Jason, where are the actual dogs now? Because they sent them back, but didn't they have an issue repatriating them?
To quote Barnaby Joyce, where are the dogs now? Buggered if I know, don't know, don't care. They're not in Australia, and that's all that matters. They came to Australia, they entered our borders unlawfully, they ended up being locked up in a 5-star kind of resort hotel room for a few days until they were deported back to their homeland, which I believe is the United States, and they're somebody else's problems now, so
absolutely.
Dogs are gone.
All right, we'll follow this with a lot of interest and a lot of enthusiasm. All right, who knew, hey Jason, who knew that you could come a cropper paragliding?
Yeah, apparently it's a dangerous sport. I never would have thought that. You go off a cliff and you've got a little parachute and you're hoping the wind takes you up and brings you back down again. Look, the sad twist to the story we're going to talk about is it's a young man who I actually know him. He works in the radio industry in Sydney, and he decided to go paragliding off a cliff, and apparently it doesn't work out sometimes. And the parachute failed or something failed, and he ended up in free fall, and he now has lost a leg. He's had enormous health issues, and he's got a bionic leg now. The sad thing of this is that he's found a lawyer who's told him, hey, mate, there's money in this, and the lawyer is now pursuing on his behalf $2 million in damages from a local authority, from a council, that didn't warn him adequately that paragliding could be dangerous.
The council.
So it's the council's
So he's going
fault.
the council and the sports governing body because he wasn't told it could be dangerous.
Yeah, the claim on the sports governing body is that they should have a book out that says this spot is really bad. So the council should have a sign up saying, beware, if you go off the edge here and you're only wearing a parachute, it mightn't work out well for you. And the sports body should say, and by the way, it's really, really bad. So it's both their faults, according to the lawyer, and $2 million worth of claims and laughter all over the country.
I once, ages ago, Jason, and this was decades ago, but for some crazy reason I bought a beehive. And because I knew nothing about keeping bees and I was essentially terrified, I got the beekeeper's manual. And when you open the beekeeper's manual, in the middle of a page, it said, if you do not want to be stung, do not keep bees. Now, that is the sort of thing this guy was after re-paragliding. Right,
yeah,
love letters.
You were warned, Paul. You were warned.
I was warned, and I was stung, but I had no comeback. All right, love letters to Melbourne Trees. This is when maybe a quirky idea goes wrong.
Yeah, this is when some greenie-focused person on the council thought, wouldn't it be nice if all our trees had identity so people would grow to love them? And so they gave all the trees email addresses.
What trees?
Yes. Trees, all 70,000 trees in the city of Melbourne, which they thought were important. They went around and catalogued them, took photographs of them, gave them internet addresses, and made it possible for you, Paul, dear listener, dear viewer, your chance to email the tree and tell the tree how much it mattered to you. The trouble is people actually did it. And now there are thousands of emails from all around the world from mixed up people who wanted to talk to the trees, and the council's left with this problem. What do we do? These people emailed the tree and they expect something back.
Of course you expect a response. Yeah.
Of course you do. I mean, you think about it, in a world full of billions of people, there's going to be a few whack jobs that like talking to trees. Well, now we've found that there's a few whack jobs that like emailing trees. And there's a whole government authority in Australia dying to respond to your emails.
Jason,
and by the way,
this is Australia. There's no shortage of whack jobs in Australia. Jason, thank you so much. You take care.
Good on you, mate.
Actually, all of those stories largely are based on whack jobs, aren't they?